20 years ago, a seed was planted and cared for. We painstakingly nurtured it and weathered it against adversity until one day it blossomed and the fruits of our labor began to show. Today, millions have learned, shared, and been inspired by what our community has produced. We proudly serve 21 million users from 204 countries in 2019. Through our 85,000 technical articles, code samples, and videos, our 450,000 forum questions, and our highly anticipated conferences and events featuring keynote panels, live streams, and industry experts and influencers, we recognize and reward members for their dedication to the community. Through content contributions and mentorships, we ranked number 2,620 in the world with a reach of millions across our social media channels. Thanks to you, our global community of software and data developers grows stronger each day. For more information, visit us at CSharpCorner.com.
Good morning and welcome to the Growth Mindset Show, CSharpCorner Growth Mindset Show. Everybody, welcome who's joining us from different places. As you may have noticed, we have moved time. Now it's 12 noon Eastern. It used to have 10. I know some people it may be a little late, but thanks again for joining us. Joining me, my name is Mahesh Chand. I'm your host. Today is a very interesting topic. We are going to talk about personal branding. And personal branding actually is very important these days because everything is out there on the internet. Everything is public. Everything is on social media. So it's very important to know what we should say, what we should present, what we should post, and how to build our own personal brand. And that personal brand actually has nothing to do with your company and brand of your company. So there's if you have any questions or anything, just make sure, feel free to post those questions in the comments. We have public comments. If you're joining us from Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're joining us, you can post your questions in the comments. Before we talk about personal branding and I bring my guest today, let's talk about a few things I want to cover in this show. We have a lot of excitement going on CSharpCorner. It's a really great time. I know COVID is still kind of up and down. Travel is still not normal. But, in the meantime, we continue to working. We are working from home. We have a lot more time now. So we are building a lot of products on CSharpCorner. So you will be seeing a lot more coming, launches coming up in, coming months. We have a couple of new shows announcements. We on CSharp.live, we have launched a couple of new shows. Simon is going to join me in a couple of minutes here, and he's going to talk about these new shows. So if you don't know about our live shows, visit CSharp.live, CSharp.live. If you go there, you can see name of the show and all the episodes, even past episodes and upcoming shows. I believe we are streaming every day now, almost every day. So check out those shows. If you like any of the shows, you think your friends can benefit from it, your coworkers can benefit from it, let them know, share on social media. We, really, really appreciate you spreading the word out there for community. We have a couple of major conferences coming up this month. So if you are not familiar, check out 2020.net. So one of the largest conferences starting is this Tuesday, March 9th, as you can see on the screen. It's a Power Platform virtual conference. If you work with Power Platform, Power BI, building chatbots on Power Platform, anything you do with Power Platform, this is the conference for you. There's a lot of good speakers in this conference, Microsoft MVPs, people from Microsoft Teams, a lot of guys speaking and girls speaking there. We have this conference is actually all I think believe 5 days, right? 9 to 13th. So look at the screen. It started March 9th and goes to the 13th. So I will be doing every day closing notes, but you check out the agenda. We have awesome list of speakers, most of them Microsoft MVPs and experts. So it's definitely something new to learn. If you are interested in learning Power Platform, or you work with Power Platform and you want to know what's new going on, how to build new cool stuff, definitely check out this Power Platform conference. Um, so yeah, you can see, look at the website 2020 and then on the link there's a Power Platform link. So check that out, or you can just go to the direct link here, as you can see in the comment. And then we have another conference coming up on March 19th. And I'm really excited about this conference. This conference is not about software development. It is not about coding. It's not about how to build product. It's all about growth mindset. And this show is all about growth mindset too. So what we did is, we thought we are doing these growth mindset shows. Why don't we do a one day conference just focused on growth mindset? So again, check out, this is on March 19th, and we have a ton of great speakers, and these speakers are people who have built their companies, and they're successfully running their companies. So check out this big list of speakers. We have Abhishek, he's a keynote speaker, very successful person. All of this list of speakers, they're all very successful. Another thing with this conference, growth mindset conference, is we are going to make it fun. So there is a session or there's a panel, and after session or a panel, there is going to be some kind of cool things to show you, like how to mix drinks, or how to make tea, or how to make different kind of coffee. And also after every panel or session, we're also going to have a live band. So we're going to have a live band. So this is going to be a fun show. Um, and Yeah, check this out. Let us know what you think. Again, we're always looking for the feedback, what you think, because during virtual, I don't see anybody. We don't see our audience. All you're listening from home, from work, or from laptops, from your phones. We need feedbacks. Is like, are we doing good? Should we improving anything? Is there any topic we need to talk about? And things like that. So check out this growth mindset website. It has its own has its own website. It's called growthmindsetconference.com. growthmindsetconference.com. It's for everybody. This is not just for programmers. Anybody who wants to grow, want to think different, how successful people deal with their ups and downs. This is the growth mindset conference is all about. It's literally for everybody. um, so we got the C#Corner out of the way. We got these live shows coming up, and we got these two conferences coming up. And before I invite my guest, one more thing I want to talk about is C#Corner as a community. We are launching several new features on C#Corner, and there's a keep an eye. There's a cool feature coming up to help you engage more. And I don't want to share it yet, but just stay tuned. Maybe in a week or so, we are going to announce a very cool feature we are going to launch on C#Corner. We are also redesigning several areas, including your profile. If you are a member of C#Corner, there's a profile. We are going to redesigning the profile. We are redesigning my account. We are also redesigning the homepage again. Yes, we always change things. So that's what this is update from my side. And last thing is, if you are watching or you watched this week, there's MS Ignite going on. There's a lot of great announcements, product announcement from Microsoft. And my personal is a HoloLens in mixed reality, frankly speaking. So I have HoloLens 2. I have start working, and it's cool. So they just launched something called Microsoft Mesh. So if you saw my news on C#Corner, I wrote a beginner article on Microsoft Mesh. Just go on C#Corner and check it out. What is Microsoft Mesh? This is the coolest tech ever built after a long time. So we can use any of our devices, any, literally, you can use your HoloLens, your iPhone, your Oculus, any kind of AR VR device, and you can connect live with people. And holographically, you can literally meet them, communicate with them, travel, do stuff, and work on projects. Definitely check out Microsoft Mesh if you love to know about new technologies coming out. This is the future of communication. This is the future of meeting. This is the future of, tele advice. For example, if you want to visit doctor's office and doctor doesn't have to physically see you, this is probably the way to go. So check that out. So that said, let's bring our guest today, Greg Shelton. Today we are going to have Greg Shelton on our show. And Simon, if you have a video, please. Hey, Greg, welcome to
Yes.
the show.
Hey, man. Thank you very much for having me, Mahesh. I really appreciate it.
How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. The weather's nice. I feel like we're seeing our way through this crazy winter, and it's good. It's good to be alive at such a crazy time.
Awesome. Yeah. So, this show is all about growth mindset. And each week, as I said, we bring guests. And today we are going to talk about personal branding, right? Today you are
Absolutely.
going to teach and you're going to give our audience some tips on personal branding. So before I go to personal branding, would you like to tell us, our audience, about a little bit about yourself, your background and how, you are where you are?
Sounds good. Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm a self-professed Renaissance man because I probably have a vociferous amount of ADD, and I move on to different things. And my background, as I'm really a creative, so my mindset is always thinking of experiences and ways to make the design of things look better and feel better and work better. So I did a big stint in the banking industry, which again is not the most sexiest thing in the world, but for me, I was lucky enough to have a big start at ING Direct Bank with the CEO by the name of Arkady Coleman, who was an artist and was a motorcycle rider. So I worked there for about 13 years. So I cut my teeth in a lot of areas there. The big thing that I learned, I ran a marketing team that focused on the customer. So once we acquired the customer, all the experience was under my umbrella. So that was a big job for me and the team that reported to me. But it was incredibly rewarding because, as far as I'm concerned, if anyone out there knows or remembers ING Direct, it was the largest direct bank, and they really blazed the path for a lot of what we call normal banking today. So I worked for about 13 years at ING Direct. And then a big banking conglomerate, which name will not be read, purchased ING Direct. And then I had a decision if I wanted to stay with a highly credit card experience or move off on my own. And I decided to brave the storm and actually move out on my own. And I opened a consulting firm after that. And I've been doing I was lucky enough to do some amazing things. So after that, I've been on my own the whole time, and it's incredibly rewarding. It's a hustle just like anything else. But to me, that's that striving to do that makes every single second rewarding.
So that's great. So you, what made you to leave? Almost like, I know ING Direct isn't really a corporate, it was still a big company. What made you to say, you know what, I'm going to go my own? What is the decision? Like, did you have any fear of, hey, if I leave? Because a lot of people who are watching, they're like, yeah, should I do my own or should I still work with the company? And obviously there's risk in both and benefits, right? So
Yeah.
there's security factor. Yeah.
Totally understand. This is a long time ago when I decided to go out on my own. As we all know, to me, it's such an incredibly volatile time now. I would hate to even compare the time of when I left there to where we are right now. Now people are thrust on their own, whether they like it or not. So to be honest, Mahesh, even though I would say it might be smart to stay at a company because you have benefits, you're fostered with a lot of workers that can kind of like feel your pain and just stay solidified in one spot. But again, there's a lot of people that either have lost their jobs or looking themselves in the mirror. And I hate to bring up the C word, but COVID has required people to change everything about their lives. Their work thoughts are crazy right now. So everyone's pretty much working from home. So you have to really rethink. You have to really rethink where you are. But what we're here to talk about again is personal branding. So whether you're working for a company or you're working on your own, or you found yourself out of a job, personal branding is what you deserve. To me, what you deserve as a person, as a creative, as a worker. That's something that you should be doing regardless if you still have your job, if you decide to stay at your job or you're on your own. People are looking for personal brands because again, it's really, back in the day, it was about perception. Everything was perception, or it was on a resume. So if you saw a person, you have to judge the way they look, the way they interview, the way their boring ass resume is. Now you have the ability of using social media to your benefit to change the way you're perceived.
Yep. So that's great. Yeah. Simon name looks good now. So yeah, today our focus is talk about personal branding, right? Our audience are mostly software developers. Some are almost, if they're not, they're all in tech, in different kind of tech.
Sure.
And everybody knows tech. Everybody probably knows how to doing, I'm doing like a Teams meetings, Zoom meetings, and all those things. But one thing is, when you're working for a company, right? And we're going to break this down slowly on personal branding. When you're working for a company and you want to build your own brand, there are so many restrictions, right? For example, even they will say, don't do this, do this, because they have some rules and all that. So
Sure.
I think first question I want to do is, how do you separate yourself personally from your company to start building this brand? What is the first step you should be taking?
Well, I think I'm a little different than your normal guy because, again, a lot of your people are in the tech world where, they're not looked at as although they are a lot of creative people. They have to really venture into that storm to put their own selves out there. So I believe the first thing you need to do is understand that a personal brand is a valid concept, and it is something that you need to do. So without going into tips and things, I believe the first thing you need to do is realize the worth of a personal brand and understand that, a lot of people believe, I have a twin brother who's an incredible musician, and he's bucked pretty much all of social media because it's a lot of work. And, when you look at people that decide to not utilize all these incredible tools to build your personal brand, or at least to communicate your personal brand, you're probably hurting yourself. So I believe, one of the things you need to consider is all the outlets that you can actually, once your brand is built, you can communicate to. And that's, again, really the use of social media. But I really think the first thing you need to do is understand, and I want to demystify one important thing. And I think this is an old mindset that I would love to challenge, which is, back in the day, companies didn't want personal branded employees. They wanted them to perform like this, and don't ever go out of that realm of thinking out of the box. Again, I've said it many times. We're already out of that world. Now you don't have a corporate persona and a private persona. It's one persona, and everyone needs to treat like that. So to answer your question, Mahesh, I think the first thing you need to realize is that you have one personal persona, and it is a mixture of corporate and personal.
All right. So that's good to start with. Yeah, that's good to start with. And I'm sure you have some tips for our audience to share a little later. So maybe we can jump into before we go into personal branding more. I want to talk about your involvement with, I know your background, you were working on a conference you did on one of the largest conference, you organized it. And you were involved in the community. So what got you involved in the community, and why did you get involved? And what was the result of that?
Gotcha. So when I made my jump out of the corporate world into my own thing, I use my own networking tools of people in the industry and people in your local area. And to be completely honest, I had a great relationship with a corporate developer in town, a corporate real estate gentleman who was a wealthy guy. And he and I would talk a lot. And I basically networked with him, and we always would be talking. And I would be kind of helping coach him understand where tech's going, where innovation is going. And it led me to morph out of the banking into my own personal gig. And then we had meetings, and then things like an innovation center came up, a co-working space, and then I worked with. I was a co-founder of 1313 Innovation, and we built that as a place. It was one of the first things in the state of Delaware to actually be in that world. And then we had a senior meeting, and then the idea of building a conference came up, and I looked around the boardroom table, and everyone looked scared to death. All the senior leadership looked scared to death, and I raised my hand and said, "Hey, you know what? Not only could I do this, not only could I build this. This is a true challenge to me. You're working in a small town, kind of a small city that's something like this has never been done before." So I immediately took that flag, and I said, "Hey, we're going to make. Not only are we going to do a tech conference, but we're going to build other facets to be an original tech conference and the biggest one that the state ever known." And again, we ended up building Tech Together, which was the first large-scale tech conference in Wilmington and in the state of Delaware. It was very successful.
Yeah, great. And then now I think you're going to be part of. You're going to help CSharpCorner conferences.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then one is coming up on March 19th, Growth Mindset. You're going to have a panel on that.
Right. That's exciting. That's very exciting for me.
Yep.
I'm excited about that.
Yep. So everybody, welcome to the show. I see people joining the show from different places. I see, looks like people joining from India a lot. We have US. We have a few people from Europe. Welcome to the show. I know it's late, but again, this show is for you. This whole Growth Mindset show is for you. Any questions you have, anything we can help you, please feel free to ask your question. No question is a bad question, okay? First thing, start with that. The growth mindset philosophy is, how are you growing, right? From now to 5 minutes later, are you doing something to grow? And first thing is, if you have a question, just ask your question. It can be any kind of question. There's no question is a bad question. So keep posting your questions. We have a few questions already coming up. We are going to take these questions in the second half. So the way show works is, first half is we are going to talk about the guest is, background and so on and so forth. And around, 8 minutes from now, we're going to take 2 minutes break. And after the break, then we're going to take these questions. So please keep your questions coming up. We are going to cover all the questions. So don't be discouraged if we are not taking your questions right now. So one thing Greg, you just talked about one word is networking. You knew this person, you were doing networking. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is, how important the networking is in today's world.
Right.
You want to tell a little more about how important this networking is and why people should be thinking about building or growing their professional and personal network?
Absolutely. I mean, I want to say that with the caveat that, unfortunately, COVID has changed how we network, because you don't really have the face-to-face meeting as you would have. We're all, obviously hoping and praying that has changed. But digitally, and what we're doing today is very viable for everybody. And, I have a 9-year-old, and, as young as he is, he's using Zoom predominantly most of it for his schooling, even elementary school. So utilizing digital tools is huge. I always say this, and the one thing that I think differentiates me from everyone else, I like to think, is the idea of is just getting shit done and executing. I can't say that enough. So to me, that is the idea that you need to know that networking is something you need to do daily. So you would do, it's very old school. You make a list of the people that you feel are in different quadrants of whether it be friends or networking possibilities. And you make the effort to reach out to them, and you mark them off the list, and you keep a list of people that you're looking to reach out to. And you can use different social media platforms to do that. I mean, that's why people are putting their name out there, is because, believe it or not, they want to interact with you too. It could be even musicians or actors. I mean, they're everywhere, and you can reach out through those social channels to start the conversation. But I always say the first thing to do is make sure you understand that is Networking is the biggest thing that you can do. And listen, it might not just be for a job or a contract, or it could just building support and friendships. And again, that's just something that, you never know when you're going to need assistance or support. And I think the biggest thing is making sure you need to do it.
Yeah, and I think and oftentimes when you start networking with people, you meet people you like, dislike, you having dinner, and you end up becoming friends, right? And that's how you end up, like we met in networking event,
right?
You and I, and we end up being friends, right? That's how it happens. And
I think it's your love of basketball, something along those lines.
Okay, that's possible. Yeah, but that's how you find something similar interest, right? You have to meet, and I think one other thing I can tell people is, personally, I'm not a big fan of social media. I am on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm not on Facebook and or Instagram. And the reason is that there's so much unwanted crap goes on social media, which is just kind of, I find it annoying. But if you are on social media, you have friends. Make sure you connect with them and keep in, if somebody posts something, you may like it and comment it. At least they know that you are watching and you are up to date with that. Then you said it, networking and relationships are it's a work. It's not something, it's not going to happen its own.
It is. It's I don't even care if you're working at a company. And again, you might be working from home at a corporation. And I'll tell you this, any supervisor or leadership director, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're not allowing your team to network, then I believe that you're not allowing them to grow. And when I ran a team at ING Direct, I hate to bring that up, but I was always looking to teach people to be my replacement, because I always looked at, if I don't bring them in and help them network internally, then I wasn't able to move up, because again, no CEO or president is going to allow you to move up if no one can fill your role. So that transparency, at least to me, is incredibly huge, and I think it's something that people forget about. And again, if you're on a team, and I know it's all digital, any good employee and any good director or leadership role should understand that even internal network is important, even in a corporation.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you just brought a very good point here, and I've seen this in the past when I talk to some developers, and I work in for so many years. Some developers have this mindset: if they will share their secret sauce with other developers, or they will teach other guys, they will have no value in it. But that's not how companies work. That's not how businesses work. I agree with you 100%. You need to at least help people who are working under you. You share with people who are working with you. That's what makes you leader. That's what makes you, company will look at it. Maybe not the same company, but there's some company look at it. You know what? This is the person we want, because he's the person not only doing his work or her work, but also helping others grow, mentoring others.
I absolutely agree. And again, I think the thing that people forget is your teammates that work for you or laterally, they can read what you're about. They understand that if you don't want to share your secret sauce, that you're doing that, and that's agreed, and people can see it. And I think a lot of, I don't want to go into leadership conversation, but a lot, to me, you can see the people that are nervous for their own selfish reasons. And again, that's any good leader would want that understanding of growth. I think that was that's something that you can see how people behave, and it's a problem of corporations.
That's the people who think they are thinking very small. And I've seen in my life, I mentor, if not thousands, hundreds of people in my life, from school to now they're running companies, or they are project managers in big companies. Right. And I have seen those in the beginning, they were not confident, and they wouldn't share how they're doing that. And I'll have complaints from other team members that, oh, this person doesn't share with us, so we don't know. This is kind of person, if you are one of those person, I'll be upfront with you. You will not grow too far in a company. You may make enough money, or you may be the best coder ever. That's not the point. But if your goal is to reach higher in the company, or people respect you, or become a leader, or even take the executive roles at some point, your goal should be to, as you said, to create your replacements. to
And
train people.
that's a big conversation, because again, you're really looking at someone's livelihood and the way they're treated inside a corporation. But another thing that I wanted to add to that conversation, honestly, Mahesh, is the concept of emotional intelligence. And again, I don't want to go off on a tangent, because I am known to do that sometimes. But emotional intelligence is something that I'm a big fan of understanding, and some people just don't have it. And it's really an understanding of the room and understanding how you're perceived and understanding what people want to hear. And to me, that is another facet of leadership in these trying times, that if you don't have, you're not likelihood to make friends, network, or even understand people. So I think what you said earlier and what we were just talking about is important for leadership. But emotional intelligence is something that people tend to forget about, and some people, again, just don't have it in their head, and they need to be taught it. But if you're not aware of the concept, check it out online, read about it. It will help you in your own personal world, not only your corporate world.
Yep. So I see people joining. Shivam Tiwari, welcome to the show. And we have other guy joining. Amit Kumar, welcome to the show. Bhaskar Das, welcome to the show. Kismatullah Sultani, welcome to the show. I know, Stephen, we have your questions. We're going to take all these questions in the second half. Just stay tuned. What we will do is now probably we're going to take, one more topic we're going to talk, and then we'll take 2 minutes break, and then we'll take your questions. But this is a very good topic. So before we go to the second half, Greg, if you have, let's say, these 4 or 5 tips for our audience on when they are thinking about personal branding or thinking about their, I call it profile, right? Basically, you're building your profile. So somebody looks at you either on LinkedIn or Facebook, or you send resume, what they think of you, right, as a person. So you have some tips, and we can start with some tips now and let people think about it, and we'll take the more tips in the second half.
Sounds good. Well, I always say this because it's not really a tip, but it's just something I think is in my execution brain, which is just shut up and do it. This conversation is bigger than everybody, and personal branding is not only real, it's worth considering. And I think it's something that if you're on social media, you're already really doing it, but it's something that you need to look at all of your profiles all over. And consider how you're being perceived and how you're putting that out there. So the one thing is, get out there and dive right into social media if you haven't already. Most people have, but go into even the TikTok or some of the things that you don't feel like you fit into. Just jump in and make sure you join them and understand quickly what they are and how they can be utilized by yourself. And that's important, because again, all corporations are in social media too. It's not just your buddy down the street or the guy you went to school with. Coca-Cola, every big brand that you can ask for is there also, so you can learn from them too. So I think
I have some questions on this my own. We will all take second half, but I want to take a few questions here in the first half before we move into the second half. So Simon, let's start putting some questions. I want to start a few questions first, so at least we can cover some questions. So there's a question here from Bhaskar. My network is because of my current company. After changing company, is it fair or those contacts for the new company? So I think he's saying his most contacts right now are based on the business work he does, but what happens when he leaves, right? So, and I'll have my own view on that. You want to go ahead, take that question? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, first of all, Bhaskar, thank you very much for reaching out. I appreciate the question. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right. So if you work for a company, they are your networking people, and then when you leave, you have to start over. Is that where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, keep in mind, when you leave a company, and we've all left a company, the networking that you have previously, there's still people that you can interact with. The thing that I find interesting is, if you're a developer at a company, you aren't bridled by that company anymore. So if you're working for a big conglomerate, all of a sudden, if you find yourself not working for them anymore, then to me it's game on. In other words, you can go reach out to competitors that are in line with what you do. If you're a developer, you can reach out to other developers for other companies. And again, that's not only going to create your value, that's going to open up opportunity. You'll be able to kind of laugh and joke about the day's job and how hard it is. So I believe I'm flipping this back and saying that the opportunity is greater, because if I work for a bank and it didn't work out for me and now I'm on my own, now I can go to all the bank's competitors, the people that work for them, and start to reach out to them. So I don't look at that as a bad thing. Mahesh?
Yeah, so I want to add to that, and I think that Bhaskar, and this happens a lot, right? When you leave a company or company let you go, whatever the reason is, you do not want to burn bridges. You still want to have a good understanding between your current company before you leave. And the best thing to do is be transparent about what you are. If you're looking for a job and you found a job, let people know, hey, I'm going to leave in 2 weeks, but I want to help you. I want to train the young guys. Make sure. Don't just go and keep everything in the dark and then just leave. This happens all the time in tech world, developer world. People just find jobs and they just leave. And what happens is, and I did same mistakes many times when I was young, is that you're burning bridges in that company. Then you don't want to talk about people. But when you are in a company, you're building your personal relationship. It's not really a business relationship, right? You're working with, sure, maybe the senior guys in company who are not your friends, you don't work with. Maybe that's where you have business relationship, but with your coworkers, right? People you work with, you're building your personal relationships. You still want to continue talking to them after you leave. This is not just like I'm done with the company and I can talk to you anymore. It should not be that way. It should be you build more like a friendship. You build more like a business. You see often all the time that people leave companies and they come back. It's because they still have good relationship with the company they left. It happens with all the time. All right, let's take another question from Shivam. Shivam looks like question here. Says, how can I improve? Most of the time, copy paste thing and deliver rapidly. Okay, so I think this is more about, and what can I improve if I have to switch company to explore if I can improve there too. So yeah, improvement then that's what growth mindset is all about. And Greg, you can add to that. This is more about coding. It's all about keep learning. And then when you learn, sure, you can copy paste code. That's great. But learn what the code is doing before you paste it. Look at it. Try to change it. Try to understand if there's a class, what this class is doing. Try to test it. And then from that, try to write your own code. Don't just copy and paste code. And a lot of developers don't know this, but copy and paste may not be legal technically. If you copy and paste my code and I have not given you permission, I can go after you and your company. So you need to first of all, you can copy the code. You go to Microsoft, you go to CSharpCorner, you search a document, you found the code, take the code and test it first, and then understand it, what it's doing, and then you rewrite your own code. That's the best way to do it. When you're going to rewrite that, when you're going to understand, then you're going to learn that, and you just keep doing it. This is learning process. Again, it's a process. It's not going to come over time. You want to add something, Greg, to that?
I mean,
to code, so that's why.
I mean, from the I'm not going to add to the coding conversation, but again, the way I look at that is, it sounds like you're frustrated with how your business operates, or how you're maybe possibly being perceived in your own company. I just, from my perspective, when you're frustrated, showing leadership by making that known and trying to go to your senior leadership to figure out how to help change the mindset. A lot of leaders, bad leaders won't take feedback from people that work below them. And again, we talked about that, Mahesh. They're not good leaders. But when you find a good leader that will listen, that's a networking possibility that I think is really valid. So you can, just like reaching out to us, you should be able to try and find that person. You can reach out to them too. And
but the problem is in tech, there's not too many. These tech people, when they come from a programming background, they're not really known for their leadership. That's a fact.
and again, I think that's obviously a problem, and I think that even all software development, you have guys that are focused on building code, and that's unfortunately that's all they're known for sometimes, and that's all they concentrate on. sometimes you need to lift your head from your computer and branch out. So
all right, we have a lot more questions coming up. So what we will do is we're going to take 2 minutes break, and then when we're back, I think we're going to take more questions, and Greg is going to share his tips on personal branding. We are thank you everybody for asking questions. Sean, welcome to the show. Pradeep, Shivam, again. We will be right back in 2 minutes.
Thanks, guys.
Here at Mindcracker, we create artificial, virtual, and mixed reality games and apps, voice-enabled skills and apps, and intelligent apps, and integrate AI with IoT products. We offer advisory services for innovations and startups. We provide cloud and code security and performance services. We also offer AI/ML blockchain development, consulting, and training. Just visit www.mindcracker.us to make your dreams into a reality. COVID makes us feel like this, and work from home like this. But what if work looked like this? With a leader like this, and a payday that feels like this. Learn how to change your mind and your mindset with the Growth Mindset Show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Hey guys! Can't believe we haven't seen each other since graduation in May. What's going on?
Not much. With the pandemic, I can't really do anything right now.
Me too. I mostly just stay at home, hang out with my dog, and watch the news.
I feel you. Have you guys been able to get jobs yet?
Funny that you ask. Carrie and I actually have been working on something together.
Yeah, we came up with an idea for a startup that's an app that will help us stay active since we both have been sitting around so much during this quarantine.
That's genius. I could definitely use something like that. When are you guys launching it?
Well, that's the issue. We don't really know how to build it, so we're kind of stuck.
I know of this company that does startup advising if you guys are interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're called Mindcracker, and they'll help you validate your idea and connect you with angel investors and help you build everything from your product MVP to your technical team and even your go-to market planning and execution.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you know how we could get in touch with them?
Yeah, you can just visit their website, mindcracker.us.
That's awesome, May. Thanks. I'm excited to get started on this.
Of course. Good luck, guys, and let's talk soon.
Thanks, May.
Hello and welcome back to the show. My name is Mahesh Chand. You are in Growth Mindset Show, CSharpCorner's Growth Mindset Show. If you're joining us, welcome to the show. If you're joining us back, you're continuing, welcome back to the show. Today we have a guest, Greg Shelton. Greg Shelton is we're talking about personal branding, why personal branding matters. Doesn't matter if software developers. I think our most folks are developers background. And we have a lot of questions. That's great. Keep those questions coming up. Greg, looks like good background now. You better lighting. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So I want to, before we take more questions, I want you to go ahead and share some of the tips on your personal branding, when people should be doing, what should be doing, and what should not be doing. And then there are related questions here. We'll take those questions.
Sure. I think, to me, number 2 is really outline and define what you do well, what you truly do well. When you think about what you like to do and where your skill set resides, it's about being honest with yourself and start to notate what you're really good at. And again, that's the things that, number 1, you don't have to devote a lot of time to, but it's something that you're actually known for. So for example, I'm kind of out of the box thinker design wise. So that's something I always thought that I bring to the table. So that's not something I have to focus on much, but it's something I believe is something that it really is something that I bring in every discussion. So that's something I would note down. So first and foremost, make sure you're notating the things that you do well while you're building this personal brand. Okay. Do you have anything to question about that, Mahesh? Any thoughts there?
No, keep going. And then we have questions already. They're related questions. So we'll take questions after.
Okay. then this as you're building the overarching idea of what your brand is, decide what it means. When you talk about what your personal brand is, decide what it means and how it will be perceived to others. That is a big step, I believe, that people need to know. And without going in too far into my background, I have a lot of personal brand attributes that I've made it known to people that's important to me. I love design. I love history. I love things that are handmade. So when everyone works with me, these are the things that I talk about incessantly because I'm into how things are built and designed. And that's just something, at least that is important to me. And the big thing, and kind of have been talking about it for a little bit, is to create a lot of content. I know that seems like a big ask, but you need, as you see, you need to be creating content all the time. It doesn't have to be a lot of things, but there's a lot of tools out there that I think that make things easier, whether it be pictures or experiences. Just constantly be creating videos, anything to do with you or your personal beliefs or friendships. Those things matter. A lot of companies are looking for strong people, family-wise, design-wise, and creative-wise, and they're looking for those little things. A thing that everyone probably knows, a big don't, unfortunately, is really stay out of the political realm. American politics and things, or politics from your country, that's always a sacred thing that I think that people, at least in the United States, it really is a dividing line for how you're perceived.
Yep. So that's a good tips. Those are all great tips. So I have one question. We'll take now we're going to start taking questions. We have 15 minutes left. Sometimes personally you like things, and then there's your brand. Right. And it's hard to kind of mix those up on the social media, and sometimes that could also be confusing, and it may also be, you said perceived by others, right? That's very important. So sure. Should people not be sharing everything what they feel like on social media because it may affect their brand? How do you kind of separate that? Because Facebook is my personal as well as my brand. Same thing with Instagram, right? And employers check everything these days. Right.
And listen, I think this is the part. That is the big caveat. And honestly, Mahesh, that's a wonderful question. And as far as the answer to that, it's a tough sell either way, because I'll be the first one to admit, everyone has seen a lot of posts of, hey, this is my son Tommy, and he's 3 years old, and he just graduated from this, and there's always pictures that way. I don't think that's negative. I think if you're posting every single day about those kinds of things, that to me shows a lack of creativity and a lack of vision. So I would try to always mix it up. If you're gonna follow the rules of what I'm talking about, to try and make one updatable profile, to your point, and you need to make sure that it's always something that is the median. You can't go too far in the personal, and you can't go too far in the corporate. It has to be something that's straddling the fence. And again, I don't think it's that difficult to do, but you always have to keep a mindset. When I post this, where is it going, and who's seeing it, and what is it going to be something that people are going to appreciate, or be, you should never post something when you're looking at is this going to be perceived bad? That is the indicator that you shouldn't be posting it at all.
So point here is that when you post anything, you need to think about it. How it's going to impact your friends or your connections or your followers on your social media. Don't just go and post anything you want. Don't just post because you're frustrated today. Sometimes my heat is not working, or my electric is not working. I'll start cursing them on social media. Don't do that.
Sure. And listen, we've all been guilty. I'm saying this as a human being because I'm passionate about politics. I mean, I've unfortunately spent a lot of time, researching it and that kind of thing. And sometimes you want to be proud of what you know and what you've researched and all this stuff. But a lot of times you just have to take the high road a little bit. And you can make a tip. This is something that I do, and I think it's a good tip for everybody. If you post something and you're very passionate at the moment, like you said, your refrigerator's not working, your heat is out. if you get ready to click post or upload or publish, look at it to see if your brother or your friend posted that, and look at it to say, would I think less of this person? And I know this doesn't make social media fun. It actually takes the fun out of it. But we're in changing times. This is a promotional tool for everyone. If you use it the right way, it'll pay off. If you decide to be lazy about it, you can take a step back, and that's problematic. And that makes me nervous for everyone when you don't think about what you're posting.
All right, so let's start taking some questions here. Stephen, you want to put some questions? Let's take your question too. And this is my favorite, right? Is it okay to share your personal content if your social profile has your company designation? Like, some people work for companies, and can they post their personal content? They're kind of representing the company brand.
I'm going to jump into that one, and I think it's a great question. When you have your company's name on your profile, I would stay away from that entirely, because you're aligning yourself up with that brand or that company, and you have a higher likelihood of being reprimanded if it's something that, again, not just straddles the fence but goes too far. You're going to hear that's going to be a problematic situation. I think you make 1 to 2 decisions. You either don't have your company profile name on your personal social media platforms, and you're more free with your mindset, or you put it on there and you're willing to not make any big leaps. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Mahesh?
No, I agree. If you have a company profile and you are in communication, especially if you are leading companies' communications or marketing, or you are kind of face of the company, you cannot just go and say and post your personal thing there, because you're representing the company.
Not to mention, I hate to say it, but
it's hard.
There could easily be a lawsuit experience if you say something that's charged in one political viewpoint. It doesn't seem
your company may get in trouble legally, and it happens all the time in the US. If somebody from a company says something wrong about, we see all the time race and gender and all that. They sue company. They don't sue you, because they are more likely to get something from the company. So yeah, definitely
and not to mention what we talked about earlier, Mahesh, which is the idea that having a job nowadays is a sacred situation. If you decide to move on your own, that's one thing. But if you like your job, there's nothing worse than making a misstep of what we just talked about, and that you're looked at differently because you made a minor misstep of your own social profile, and now you're in a league of showing bad judgment. That's an easy ticket to be thought of as someone who's not thinking straight, and it's a bad move. I don't see any win in that.
Let's take next question. We have 7 more minutes to cover. We have a lot of questions coming up. Thank you everybody for asking questions. They make our day. It feels like somebody's listening and watching us. Cool. So that's important. Really, thank you for all those questions. So this question is from Pradeep. Pradeep, welcome to the show. Social media like Facebook, Instagram are mostly for fun, sharing things, and has been placed to show off. How a company or corporate world will judge a person by their social media profile? And this is a very good question. I would say this is a great question.
So I'm going to jump in, and please feel free also, Mahesh, which is Pradeep. Again, thank you for the question. I believe that leadership in companies are always trying to get an edge to understand what their workers are thinking. There's a lot of things, as you all know, there's bonuses and things tied to hierarchies and things. And although social media can be viewed as fun, and if you're in the right business, it can be looked at as a creative mindset. But when you work for a company, it just isn't how they perceive things. And I would hate to give a tip to someone where they think they can have loads of fun, and then a person's leadership manager is a lot of times connected with it. Because I always believe there needs to be a delineation between leadership and social media profiles with their workers. It just can create trouble personally.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I can add to that is, so if you're thinking that social media is for fun, I think you're wasting your time, if you ask me. Social media should not be for fun. It's okay to once in a while. Social media is not entertainment, even though most people use this as an entertainment, and it becomes addictive. And that's the worst part with social media. It affects, all likes you all care about is, as soon you post something on your social media, you want to scroll. Oh, did anybody like it? Did anybody like it? So your brain is like constantly burning the energy thinking about something that just useless, right? And that energy and that brain power you can be using in something that will help you grow in your life. So to me, everybody and most of us are like use social media as a fun. You have to restrict that. It has to be very limited if you're using for fun. But yes, corporate will judge you from anything you post there. Yes, I will not hire somebody who posts stupid stuff on their social media. Yes. And it will also affect the company, that because these days, as you said, Greg, you are just one brand. It's not one personal versus company these days. Everything is just one, because everything is so connected. Everything is so public. So yeah, if you're looking for a job and going to a big reputed company and they find out that you have some stupid post on social media, chances are they're probably not going to hire you.
Yeah, and we've all been there. It's not something that anyone's.
Yes. Oh yeah, we do all the time. Yes.
It's the way it's just that is how it is, and I think that's something you just again when I talked about the tips. There's a lot of ways to look at things differently. It's not an easy thing, and again, a lot of it is when I talked about one of the tips, which is try and understand what best suits you and what your strengths are. A lot of it is use an analytical mindset. And to Mahesh's background, I've known Mahesh for a good amount of time, and I can understand why he's not. He's very a literal person. And to me, Mahesh, I look at you as you look immediately at the benefits of things as opposed to a creative world personally. So if you look at it as social media can give you benefits, set some analytical walls around to understand why you're posting stuff. Again, I agree. No one likes to see the guy who posts something and sits there for 3 hours hoping to get more likes or encouraging likes. But you can also set parameters. So maybe you're selling tickets, or you're selling, you're actually putting money into it to encourage a behavior. But I would recommend you think about it analytically, so you're getting what you need out of it, and you can show worth at the end of your experience.
Yeah, I agree. That's how you have to think that social media, as you said, I will rephrase the social media, think of this as a tool for your personal and professional growth, which could be networking, learning new things, posting what you like, and so people can see how great creative you are. So if I'm hiring somebody and I see somebody is sharing about a lot of new code, or somebody's writing articles and sharing that, I can say, okay, this person looks like the one I want to hire.
Right. So, and keep in mind, real quick, and I want to say this, to be honest, I'm personally not saying that you need to be posting really just nothing but boring stuff. Posting funny things, as long as it showing a sense of humor and creativity, I don't think anyone's going to look at you differently by doing that. I think you just need to mix it up a little bit, because again, people want to see humans. They don't want to see robots. They want to see people that, they know how to have a little bit of fun. They know how to think creatively and out of the box. It's just important to go into things with a plan. Understand that I need to ebb and flow with my creative and what I find funny. And again, at the bare minimum, you can laugh with a coworker about something that's funny, as long as you get back to work after the laugh stop.
Good point. Yeah, and I'm really straightforward. Yeah, it's a good point, because otherwise people will ignore you. It's just boring all the time. Yep.
Yes.
Let's take another question. We only have 2 minutes left. So this question from Sean. Sean, welcome to the show. What is your opinion about internet mob mentality or cancel culture in the current climate of social media? Does someone deserve to be fired because they said something disagreeable? That's a good question too.
That's a great question, Sean. Again, thank you very much for asking it. I don't want to be canceled right now for my answer, by the way. Unfortunately, I'm going to answer. I'm going to give my answer, and of course, Mahesh is going to give his viewpoints. I don't want to get anywhere near a political mindset with this, because in the States it's very political, this conversation, because it tends to be, unfortunately, a Democrat versus Republican conversation. I'm not going to go anywhere near that. And I don't want to plead the fifth here, but to me, it's a situation where you have to use your you have to use your best judgment. And again, perception, unfortunately, is everything. So if I use that one experience, like I said 5-10 minutes ago, which is if you were going to post something, and if you looked at if your brother posted it, would you hold that against them, or would you put them in that same mindset? It could be problematic. So I can only say from personal experience, when you dabble in that situation, the ramifications are huge, and you're not winning by having a supervisor or a CEO or a leadership send you a message to say, why are you involved in this? Again, if you're willing to leave the job, that's one thing. If you feel like you have the personal freedom to do so, have at it. But I just, I can't recommend that. The cancel culture concept for me, I'll keep this one quick. I believe that social media is an easy tool to communicate rapidly. So people's distaste politically of things has just snowballed, and it's just something that I think all people are utilizing cancel culture right now. Because if I found someone did something, my first unfortunate mindset is to think less of them. And again, I think the viewer has to change their mindset on how they're seeing things. What's your thoughts, Mahesh?
Good. Yeah, definitely good question. Great question, actually, Sean. So let me start with something. When a company fire you or does not want to hire you, or there is cancel culture involved, it's really nothing personally against you. And I want to clarify that. If I'm a company and I'm firing somebody ABC because they posted something that it's not against really you. It's basically, as a company, company doesn't want to get in trouble. They're just trying to protect themselves. Company has nothing against person, but say if this person is saying that, somebody may come in lawsuit, they just don't want any kind of trouble. They want to stay out of problems, right? That's the whole idea with the business. Business is not a person, right? So business says, listen, we don't care about this versus that. We don't care about this party or that party, because every time business get involved or a person working for business get involved, business is going to take some kind of heat on that. And how do you do that? By detaching yourself from that person who is bringing these things, right? That's how I see things. Even, sometimes a manager is not hiring you because they saw something on your social media, or they're firing you because you posted something else. It's not really they love to fire you, really. I don't think so. They just don't want to bring more, problem to the business, because what business focus is to get as you said, get the shit done, get moving, and make money and all those things.
And more importantly, Mahesh, to your point is, a company might be free thinking and might allow you the wingspan to be honest in your own social media world. That's a good thing. But if you're up for a promotion against Sally and she doesn't have these problems, and you're a great performer and you're a good guy, people love you, damn, man, it might come down to splitting hairs, and you don't want to be in that situation. So, whatever you have to do to try your best to stay out of that, it's just the right way to look at things. And I'd hate like hell to tell you otherwise.
And I'll tell you a real world example, right? If, say somebody posts something, they work for company ABC, and some people didn't like the comment, they won't go after you. They'll actually go after the company. So they'll create chaos. I can go on social media and can tag a company like, oh, look, your employer is so and so doing this stuff. So out of sudden, the company corporate has to get involved, and nobody wants to get involved because it's more work for everybody. And
right.
People, nobody wants to do more work for no reason. Right. And again, that's kind of, I think, this way.
I agree. You don't want to be the straw that broke the camel's back, and before you know it, you're getting told not to do it. Right now, you're not probably getting told anything. But once you get those words, I saw that post or whatever, you could be in bad shape already if you're getting that reprimanding.
Yep. So I think that kind of wraps up our show. We are 4 minutes over time. So thank you everybody for joining us. I thought it was fun. We did a lot of good stuff. This could go for like days. Like, these are topics where we could literally talk for days, right? Maybe we will bring this show back again in future. But I hope everybody joined us. Thank you so much for all your comments, because those comments make it fun. So keep bringing those comments, please. Again, if you think you like the show, if you think you benefit from that, don't forget to share on your social media and let your friends and coworkers know that this show is here, and they can come and ask any questions. We are really open, free. We don't restrict any questions here. And again, Greg, you want to say something in the end before we close the show?
Well, listen, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the idea that I can share what I've learned in my workplace and in my self-employment about my company. This is how I see things, and it might not be perfect or right for everybody, and everyone's different. I just challenge everyone out there to think a little bit out of the box for their brand. Make sure you're putting a lot of effort into building it. Make sure it's real for you when you look in the mirror, and a little bit of effort will go a long way on networking, and people will start to look at you differently if you devote the time to it. So again, thank you very much for having me on the show, Mahesh, and I look forward to working with you on growth mindset.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg.
You're very welcome.
So that was that. We learned a lot today. I personally learned a lot from, how to build your personal brand. That was great show. As we talked earlier, we have several new conferences coming up. Please check out the conference website. Check out our new shows. And again, let your friends know, let your coworkers know that we are doing these things. They're virtual, they're free, and more people, can benefit from this. It's good for everybody. And thank you for joining us. And I will see you next Friday, 12 Eastern. And hope you have a good weekend. Thank you.